You know, music takes all forms and we enjoy it in so many different ways. We love it to just listen to in our cars or while we're in our offices working or maybe enjoying a book or a meal or something. We just love music. And whether it's coming from a rock band or from a movie score, we just love the tone that it sets for what we're enjoying at that moment. And there are a few people in the music industry who get to enjoy both. And one of those people is a gentleman I've been tracking for quite a few years now by the name of Trevor Rabin. And he has a brand new album out. In fact, it's his first vocal album in 34 years. I didn't realize it'd been that long, but it'd been 34 years. Trevor has written all sorts of music for all sorts of people. He has recorded with the band Yes on several of their albums. So he's quite well known there. And even equally as important, he has written tons of music for a ton more movies. I think one of my favorites is from Armageddon. I think we all know that movie. Tremendous scores in that movie. And Trevor is the guy behind them. He's written so much more, and you can dig into it to find out more online. But this is my first interview with him. I've actually been watching him for quite a few years, and especially not long after I launched Boomerocity almost 15 years ago. So for me, it was a personal big thrill to be able to talk to him. And we focused on this album and, and on the genre of movie scores and rock music in general. But there was a ton more questions I would have loved to have asked him if we had the time. But we talked about this new album called Rio. Again, it's his first vocal album in 34 years, and it's tremendous. You'll definitely want to have this as part of your listening library. So if you don't mind, please give this interview a full listen, share it with your friends. And as I keep asking, would you please subscribe to us if you're listening to us through YouTube or Star Worldwide Networks or on your favorite podcast? Please, if you don't mind, just subscribe to us. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps us out. So, and also please share it with your friends. Let them know about us because we may have something they too would enjoy. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I hope are many more interviews with the great Trevor Rabin. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It is going great. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Where are you dialing in from?
I'm at home in LA.
In LA. I that's where I thought, but I didn't want to assume. So
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm talking to you from the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it is. I love it here. So before we get into this great new album of yours, tell me how the post-pandemic world is treating you. Is there a new normal now? Or are you back to the old normal, or what's going on in that regards, career-wise?
Well, it's funny. During the pandemic, a couple of drum tracks I had to send. I couldn't have people come to my studio. I had to send tapes, and Vinny Colaiuta, who's the drummer on the song Push, did it, through a computer, basically sending files back and forth. And
Right.
He's such an amazing drummer. He did 3 takes on the song, sent it to me and said, let me know if this appeals to you. If not, I can do it again. And I called him. I said, every single take you've done is better than the next. So I don't even know which one to use. So it didn't, from that point of view, it didn't go badly, but it was lonely with the pandemic. But yeah, now it's over, and I'm up and about and just enjoying.
Do you see any permanent changes as far as how you go about doing your work with others and such, or is it kind of settled back in? Because I'm hearing different things from different ones.
Yeah, I'm feeling like it's almost back to normal, but I think there is a new normal. There's people seem to go out less and order in more. I guess that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. I see a little bit of that here. I'm in the tourist area, of course, so I see a lot of people kind of, escaping here, and that was especially true during the lockdown. I mean, once we had the official couple of days here, it seems like everybody started crawling out of the woodwork. And while everybody else was shut down, we were seeing visitors, we were seeing tourists. So, it
That's
doesn't mean
amazing.
everything was open, but we saw the tourists. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm surprised anyone. I certainly didn't go anywhere, but I was working. I mean, obviously, touring was the big thing affected from the musician's standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and even studio work was you couldn't be with anybody, so consequently, the sending files out.
Dropbox became a popular hangout, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
so this new album, it's your first vocal album in 34 years. Why is that? What took so long for you to do a new vocal album?
I really, the only excuse I have is I started, when I left the band in 94, it was to do film scores. I have such a passion working with orchestra, and that was a great platform to work with one, is doing film. Although, not all films are orchestral, some are, more rock-based, or even, you might have a piano, a banjo, mandolin even. I've done that, but it was my third film. Just to give you an example, my third film was a movie, Armageddon. I don't know if you remember it, but it seems like 1,000 years ago. And I look at that movie and it feels like it was yesterday, but it was 50 movies ago.
Wow.
So, meaning I've just been so busy doing movies, time's just evaporated. I just, it's like the mirror's being on fast forward, look at it and just holding. So I think that was one of the things that happened. But then when Yes got in the Hall of Fame and we played there, John Anderson and Rick Wakeman, singer, keyboard player, and myself, after the show, and we'd been talking about it before, decided we should hit the road for a couple of shows. And I couldn't do too much because I was scheduled to do a film, but then I just thought, screw it. And we had such fun on the road. We did 200 shows. So that enabled my voice muscle and hands to be in much better shape. And that's when I started the album, straight after that tour. And then obviously the pandemic came about, and I had nothing else to do but the album. So I really concentrated on it, and it was, and also, the fact that I hadn't done it for so long, a rock album, and everybody spends their entire life, from whenever they start being a musician, they spend their life basically preparing to do their first album. And then if the first album succeeds, they're lucky enough to do a second album. But the time period from the first album to the second album is so truncated because you've got no time to do the second album. So it's always a bit of a pressure, right? With this album, even though I've done many, many albums, there was such a long period from doing the last one to doing this. It was like waking up. It was like, wow, it was so invigorating. I really enjoyed it, and didn't stop until it was done.
Cool. Well, to sidestep this album just a moment here, I know, I'm very familiar with all the movie scores and such that you've written. This is going to be a dumb question. I know you've been asked it probably a million times, but which do you enjoy writing more for one kind over another? Do you enjoy writing more scores than rock music, or the other way around, or do you get equal satisfaction out of both?
They're all pretty girlfriends. So
I love that. That's good. That's good.
When I'm doing a film, I would have to say the ones I enjoy the most were the inspirational ones. Like Remember the Titans. I don't know if you remember that Denzel Washington movie, and that was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And there was a movie about the death march in the Philippines during the Second World War, called The Great Rage. It was, that's very enjoyable. But even the big action movies, it's always an enjoyable thing. But nothing really compares to being on stage And then and I feel kind of on stage more so doing this a rock album. A score is much more, it's a developing thing. It takes time, and whereas doing a rock song, you can hit it almost immediately once you've got the goods there. You play a guitar solo, that's got to be inspired, and you have to perform. So I guess that's it. It doesn't mean that she's any prettier than the others, but
She's got a great personality, right? So
maybe a little more exciting at times.
that's true. That's true. So what was different about doing this record compared to all the other ones you've done? I mean, I know technology's changing all the time and
Yeah.
all of that kind of thing. What was different about this album than all the others?
Well, technology, as you mentioned, definitely is one of the things. And this one, I think I went into it knowing much more about what I was not the writing, because that starts and then always lands up somewhere different to what you first imagine. But I was very prepared for it. It was and not prepared in a way that, okay, this is, it's all neat and designed. I mean, I'm a like mad scientist when in the studio. It's always a mess. I don't know where anything is, and then I don't know where this compressor's. Oh, why did I plug that in right? But I get it done because that takes away, that takes precedent over me thinking about the music. Because if I'm thinking about the music, it's funny. Vinny Colaiuta, the drummer, said to me, "If you're playing and jamming with someone, and you're thinking about what you're doing, then you're not performing. You can't think about it. It's just got to do, right?"
Right.
So because of all the preparation, because I engineered it and produced it, I spent a lot of time doing that so that the playing had to be more of a natural given. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it
But
does. I mean, I'm not a musician, but I kind of empathize with what you're talking about there because one thing I've noticed about your music, Trevor, is that there tends to be a real emotion that comes through. I mean, I know with a lot of great songwriters and performers, that can happen, but sometimes it feels a little bit more contrived, a bit more just drama laden rather than true from the heart emoting of the feelings. And that's one thing I've always been struck by your work is it feels like raw feelings, raw emotions in your work. And especially, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I felt that on this album with Oklahoma. And if you don't mind, tell fans the story behind your song Oklahoma.
yeah, Oklahoma. And I think in the early 90s, coming from South Africa, I eventually was eligible to be an American citizen after a lot of, going through the right channels and really doing it the right way. And it was so exciting. I remember playing, becoming an American citizen in the morning in LA, and then playing at the Forum in Los Angeles at night. And I'm doing my acoustic guitar solo, and Rick Wakeman comes up to me in the middle of the solo, rudely, but it's the kindest thing. He had draped an American flag around me, and I just got cold shivers. So
Wow.
just to give a little bit of an introduction to when I looked at the TV on the 19th of April and saw the federal building in Oklahoma being gouged out. And I thought, what is this? And then when I started hearing and realizing what had happened, it was a punch to the gut. It was like, oh my God, this is the greatest country on earth. How can this happen here? And it really affected me really profoundly. And immediately I wrote 2 or 3 lyrics, which I remember writing down and thinking, I've got to write. I've got to write a song about this and do something. But it was too crass and it would have been really crass and capitalizing on a horrible thing to write about it at the time. So I kept those lyrics around, But only recently did I think, okay, well, now the time is acceptable to talk about it and to pay tribute to people who suffered through it. So that song is very, very dear and emotional to me. And I hope it offends no one. And I hope people only realize that it's an incredible tribute and comment than more than anything else.
Have you been through the museum there?
No, I haven't. No.
Boy, I lived in Dallas when that happened, and had some friends. I was in the telecommunications industry, and they were just a couple of blocks away when the bombing hit. And I mean, they literally felt like the building was lifting up and settling back down when that happened. And so a few years later, when the memorial and the museum opened up, I tell you
Yes.
what, Trevor, there's nothing. I say nothing like I can imagine going through, say, a Holocaust museum or maybe 9/11 or something to that
Yeah.
effect. I mean, it's in that caliber, and you see the little baby shoes and the adult beside the adult shoes as part of a collection of shoes that were found in the rubble.
Oh
And I
my
mean,
God.
it just numbs you with emotion. It really does. And that's the reason why I asked you about this song. I knew what it was about. And
Yeah.
I thought you captured it beautifully. So I don't, if
Oh, well,
anybody's
thank you
offended,
so
I'd be
much.
surprised.
Thank you so much. And I do intend to, as soon as I possibly can, I'd like to go to the memorial, because obviously it's in the video that was made,
Mhm.
and which that was strongly an intended thing. Um, but I just wanted to be present the most respectful, kind of heartfelt thing as possible, because my God, what a tragedy.
And sadly done by one of our own. That's what really hurt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so what were there any surprises putting this album together? I mean, was there something like, I mean, you've worked on so many. Was there something where it's just like, wow, I wasn't expecting this, good or bad?
I don't want to make it sound too simplistic, but just really the excitement and fun of it, because I hadn't done it for so long. And I think I felt fresh. The weird thing as well is my vocal, as you get older, your range is supposed to go downhill like you do, or like I
I
do.
wouldn't have any clue. I just turned 64 yesterday, so I wouldn't have a clue.
Oh my goodness, you don't look 64.
Thank you.
Well, I'm 70 in January.
Oh, wow.
And
You don't look that either. You look younger than me. So there, I got you.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'll take it. Um, but the funny thing is, my voice seems to have either stabilized, or I've been able to, on this album, I'm surprised that there were certain notes I didn't think I was going to be able to hit, and I was going to get a backing vocalist to help me out on it. And I hit it quite easily. So I think
Wow.
my vocal range has at least been consistent and maybe slightly upped it, but upped it a bit.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there a song, and I always say this, artist, I know you can't pick a favorite because like picking your favorite child, and we're not really
Yeah.
supposed to do that. But as far as from this album, is there a song that you'd point to as a calling card and say, hey, if you like this, you're really, really going to like the rest of the album?
Oh boy, well, one that hasn't been played yet is the song "Paradise," which I like quite a lot.
That's a good one. Very good one. So what's next, man? You've got this great album out. You gonna hit the road? You got another one you're gonna release right behind it? What you got going on after this?
When I started this, I felt like I had creatively, my pockets were burning, right? So I had to kind of let it out. It was like, but there's still a load in the pocket. So I really want to get to another album as soon as possible. And I've kind of spoken to the family and said, I want to not do anything else until I've done the next album. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And then hopefully it's all so early right now. So it's playing catch up. What are we going to do? But as far as touring, that's something I'd love to do. And there's a chat about that, but nothing's organized as yet. And the only thing that's definitive is I want to do another album right now.
Cool. Cool. How about movie scores? You got anything in the works on that front as far as people asking you to write for their film?
Yeah, well, there's it's funny with movie scores, the scripts come in to see if you're interested, and so the scripts keep coming in. And right now, as I say, I don't want to look at anything until I've done another album. So
Gotcha.
I'm gonna push that a little further down the line for now.
Very good. Very good. Well, this last question here, and I don't want it to sound dark or macabre or anything like that, but I do
Yeah.
like to find out what artists are thinking and how they're kind of gauging their lives and such. And I'd like to definitely love to talk to you more in the future, maybe, and I'll ask you this question every other time. And that's, once you step off the tour bus of life and up at the great gig in the sky, to borrow from Pink
Yeah.
Floyd, how do you want to be remembered and what do you hope your legacy is?
Well, obviously, any musician would selfishly say, "I hope the music's remembered."
Hmm.
But I've got a 2-year-old grandchild, and I always get it, and I just hope she's great, and the family are great, and she goes on to have a happy life. I think happiness is the most important thing, attached also to the responsibility of trying to help everyone else be happy. But that's a task.
That always is, because it has to start with the individual first, and then all we can do is maybe augment it some, huh? Yeah.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
well, Trevor, this has been a thrill for me. I've been wanting to talk to you for years, and when this opportunity came up, I knew I had to grab it because I've been dying to talk to you for a long time, and I hope you know my door is always open to you. If you ever, when this next album comes out, please let's talk when that one's about to roll, and we'll do one of these and help fans know what to expect.
Well, I thank you so much. It's great talking to you, and I'd love to do it again, and just anytime.
Okay, my friend. Well, stay
All
safe,
right.
stay healthy, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye bye.